You're not a scout, are you? Oh wait, there's a scout.
You're a scout?
I found I'm trying to get your name. Don't be worried. Would you help us lead the Pledge of Allegiance with me, sir? Would that be okay? So tell me your name again, Alex. What's your grade? Thanks for helping us out. And Allison.
You're going to put you on the spot. This meeting is now called to order. Roll call, please.
Mr. Borland?
Here.
Mrs. Bullock? Mrs. Johnson? Here. Mr. Street?
Here.
Mrs. Van Manen? Here.
Thank you. This evening we have a scout in attendance. It is Alex Keenan, troop 404 from Liberty, and he's a 10th grader. If everyone would please rise, Alex, you would come to the front and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Alex. Mrs. Dodd, are there any addendums to the agenda?
There were addendums to the agenda. The board was notified of these earlier today.
Great. Members of the board, are there any items you wish to move from either the superintendent's consent agenda or the board's consent agenda? Great. May we have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Borland?
Aye.
Mrs. Bullock?
Aye.
Mrs. Johnson? Aye. Mr. Street?
Aye.
Mrs. Van Manen? Aye.
Board quote. I asked Mrs. Van Mater to read the board quote because I know this is one of her favorite authors, and then I realized she also she read last time too.
That's quite all right. I'm struggling with my technology right now. If Mr. Sackley could help me, I can't get an internet connection. So, thank you, Mr. Borland. The board quote is, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. By Maya Angelou.
Also one of my favorites.
I love that one. Thank you very much for allowing me to read it.
Public comments, Mrs. Cortez. Do you have anyone signed up?
We have actually 6, 7, 8 people signed up.
Okay, great.
The first is Andy Sibley.
At this time, we welcome any members of the public who would like to address the board to do so. Thank you for being here tonight. In the interest of respecting the time of all who are present, speakers are to limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less. Supplemental written materials are welcome. Please hand the material to Mr. Grady, who is seated to the right of the podium, and he will deliver to the board secretary. We greatly value all comments from the public, but in order to adhere to board policy and accomplish the work already on the agenda, the board will not respond this evening.
Good evening. My name is Andy Sibley. I'm a 33-year resident of District 20, and I have 3 grown children who my wife and I moved to Colorado Springs so they could get an education in District 20 some years ago. I've been involved in the funding proposals and evaluations for a long time. We got it done in 2001. I'm going to make it really short. 2007, again, we couldn't provide you guys the opportunity to get to the how. We give you a what. You didn't have the ability to get the how done. We did it again this past year. Now we have the ability to take care of the how. And I personally am very grateful to see this because now we can bring the district up to par for all of our students that we can be proud of, rather than tour some of the schools and see what needs to be done that we couldn't do before. Also, to thank our facilities folks and our management and men and women are out doing the job every day that have kept the patchwork functioning over the years. Now we have an opportunity to get rid of the patchwork. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Cornett.
Next we have Francis Esty.
Hi, my name is Frances Esty, and I want to actually express to the board my disappointment in the way Mrs. Bullock posted on Facebook regarding the video recording of these board meetings. She asked for public opinion on whether the district should spend $25,000 to video record, when the actual amount discussed at the last board meeting was a range between $3,000 and $26,000 for a full-blown production. I bothered because she didn't give all the options presented at the last board meeting. Instead, she stated that the board had made a decision to do it right or not do it at all. When did the board make this decision? I'd like to know, I get a response from the board as to whether you had a meeting outside the board meeting to discuss this matter, and if so, when and where. And if not, did Mrs. Bullock post online on her own, appearing to be on behalf of the entire board? And I do want a response from the board on that question. Also, I'd like to say directly to Mrs. Borland that I'm very disappointed that you would go out on the public forum on Facebook and ask for feedback and give thumbs up to people who said no, and then no response to people who said yes. You're showing your bias and trying to persuade people to say no. And I think it's really unprofessional, and that you're showing that you appear to have already made your decision to not be fair and transparent.
Next we have Mr. David Kelly.
Good evening, folks. I am David Kelly. I run a Liberty group called Liberty First. And as you know, Dr. Hatchell, I think I first met you when you were the new superintendent when I ran for school board back in 2007. And I'm wearing my traditional McDonald kilt here, simply because I am the kilt man and play the bagpipes and so forth. So you guys have my contact information. I want to say that first because I'd love to get your responses on this. But as a liberty lover, we all know that taxation is theft, right? It's that simple. Taxation is theft. President Washington said, government is not reason, it is not eloquence, it is force. Like fire in a dangerous servant and a fearful master, never for a moment should it be left to irresponsible action. With that said, this bond question, which you're going to be talking about tonight or later in this evening regarding the bond issue, I feel, in my humble opinion, that it's a borderline to an irresponsible action. There's a better way to finance the needs of District 20 and still be on the leading edge in the educational excellence for our children and for the future of this district. As many of you know, I'm employed at Pikes Peak Library District across the street in public relations. Been there for 26 years. PPLD, as I'm going to use the acronym here, has managed to grow and meet the needs of a community without a mill levy increase or a bond since 1985. It's 31 years. The city of Colorado Springs and El Paso County's population back in '85 was around 370,000 people. Today we're looking at around 670,000 plus. So we've nearly doubled the community that the district serves, the Pikes Peak Library District serves. Yet, no mill levy increase, no tax increase, other than what the money from the houses and so forth has grown the budget. Their budget has basically, over the years, gone from around $11 to $12 million to around $28 million. But with the mill levy cap, it can only grow so much. In the school district, same thing, we can do the same math here. So, being in the building across the street here, it's fascinating how they went about growing their district and serving the public. And part of that was they saved their money. They budgeted for their infrastructure needs, planning for the purchasing of buildings and so forth. And granted, they did go to the voters 3 times in the last 25 years seeking money for bonds and so forth. The voters here in El Paso County said no. And that schools are a little different, and I understand that. Anyhow, I recommend to you in the future, not my place here, I recommend that you guys consider in the future here to look at different ways to do your budget and your financing. And I recommend this because that's what you need to do in the future with your infrastructure needs, because we're looking at austerity becoming the norm in this community across the United States if you look at the census that we have. Anyhow, I urge this board, you all, tonight, to vote against placing the bond issue on a November ballot and to seek alternative ways in which to remedy the current infrastructure demands. The emotional argument is to vote for our kids. And I agree with that. But let's vote for our kids to not have to carry more burden and debt that's being forced upon them by this next 30 years that's going to be added to this bond, and the bonds that continue. I mean, you look at the taxes here in this community, the taxes just keep going up. Colorado, the whole 9 yards, keeps going up. Why should we burden our children and our grandchildren with more debt? We got to be smarter about how we go about this. So I ask you to protect the future of this community, to be on the leading edge, find a new paradigm in how you finance and fix your infrastructure, grow schools, you know, and provide for the community, which your serves do. So again, I ask this board to vote no on this bond language. Go back to the drawing board and find a solution that will be a win-win for all of us. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Mrs. Cordell?
Next, we have Mr. Steve Owsley.
Good evening. I first want to thank you all for your service to the D20 community, for its valuable element in our children's education. I appreciate all the time that you do. Secondly, I wanted to voice my support for the video recording of meetings. Several things: for transparency, for accuracy, for convenience, and for simplicity, to name a few. But most importantly, it is for the availability of being able to see you guys. As you know, I coach swimming for Pine Creek. And for 6 months of the year, I get scheduled evenings for meets and practices, and I cannot attend. And after being here last time, I have to say it is kind of fun to be here, and I wish I came more often. Not that it's entertainment, but at least I know that a lot is being accomplished, and I appreciate that. But secondly, it's my job. I have a full-time job in IT, and I'm busy, and frequently I stay late, and/or I'm working. And so the other 6 months of the year, I take all the time up from all squeeze so I could coach to do it in the off season, you know, in the other 6 months of the year, and I'm busy either way. And so having the meetings recorded in a professional way would allow me, as well as anyone else who has to work in the evening, the opportunity to be a part of the district and be like we're here and understand what you guys are really trying to convey and say. And thank you all.
Thank you. Mrs. Cortez?
Next, we have Miss Jackie Bell.
Hello, board members. Yes, I'm back again. I hope you guys had a great summer, and I'm sorry that I had missed a few of your meetings. I have some prepared notes, but after hearing from some of the other community members, I'm going to deviate from this a little bit. First, I want to thank you for what you do. This is a volunteer job, and you don't do it for the dinner, and you don't do it for the snacks. And you take time away from your families, and you take time going to visit schools, and know that I appreciate that, my family appreciates the time that you dedicate to this job. The bond measure that is coming up is super important. And we need to educate our community on the importance of taking care of what we have and repairing what we have, along with building what needs to be done. We're talking about 2 elementary schools, 1 middle school. I've heard the high school is off the table for the time being. We have lots of growth coming to this district, and it's wonderful, and we're happy, and people want to come to this district because the teachers do a great job. You guys do a good job. We love it here, and that's why so many of these people, I don't know what people are here for, but that's why I'm here. So we have to do a better job of telling the people this bond is important because it's going to provide so many things. You know I'm here because I want more water in this district. We have 6 high schools, 5 can only have teams because there's not enough water in here to provide that. There are lots of things that more water in this district can provide. We can do life-saving, they can take swimming lessons. We can provide to our elderly in this community. We won't be getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning to send our kids off to practice from 5 to 7, to send them off to school, to have them come home, to try and do homework. Oh, and they might have a drive training in between to make sure that they can do their job, which is being a student. That is my passion. I've talked about it a lot to you guys. had meetings with Dr. Hatchell. We need to figure out how to get more water. If the bond doesn't pass, what is going on with the progress with getting approval to get on the community center pool at the Air Force Academy? I brought that up to several people, not in front of the board. I didn't make public comments, but I brought it to the board, and I've heard nothing. So I am asking to have some sort of communication with me that we find out what's going on with that. Who's dealing with that? Where are we with the academy? Is it something that's even a possibility or no? If it's not, then I'll drop it. But then we have to go on to the next step. Where can we go? Can we go to the Y? Can we go to Wolf Ranch? Where can we go? My passion is about the pool. The second thing is, I'm sorry, but I cannot stay for your whole meeting tonight. I've been away from my family, as all of you have, for the last 3 nights, and it's time that I go home and be with my family and have dinner. But if you guys and gals would approve to have these videotaped, to put them online so that I could go home, I could put it on my I could put it on our Apple ID, and we could watch it from the comfort of our own home. It's a huge customer service to the community that spends lots of time and lots of energy and lots of money. We support you, and we want to know what's going on. And that is the way, maybe it's not 25,000. We have lots of kids that would like to have some community service hours that could come here and do this on a, every other week basis. I support you, and I want to help you, and I think it would be really good for our community. All right. So I don't know if this is good. It's time for Detroit to come to the 21st century and get us online and
Thank you. Ms. Cortez?
Next, we have Mr. Michael Esty.
Hello, I'm Mike Esty, and I guess Mrs. Bell summarized an awful lot of what I was wanting to say too. And I do recognize that the board does put in a lot of time and effort. But I do still feel, and I'm going to still voice my opinion on the shortcomings there. I'm here for the next 3.5 hours because I can't see this from the comfort of my house or whatever. But I've been attending meetings the last few months ever since a number of parents did get involved and talk about the lack of transparency and the other things that we have discussed. And through those not just board meetings, but the work sessions, I have noticed that there are comments and decisions that are discussed, and I feel that some of them could be construed as misleading and deceptive to the public. And I think that's where I feel a lot of this should be videotaped and made available to the public. I think a lot of items are cleaned up and editorialized before they make it to the written minutes. With exception to Mr. Borland and Colonel Harding, I would really like to voice my opinion that I feel that the school board has lost sight that they were elected by the public officials, and they really should be reporting to us and not reporting to the pleasure of the superintendent. And those are just my personal comments from viewing these meetings. Therefore, I will be videotaping all of the meetings in the future until you either decide to move forward and prove that we're going to be showing them up there. And as soon as I can, I'll get them up, probably initially on YouTube, but within the next couple of weeks, I should be able to get it up on a website that I now own at ASD20.info. So again, ASD20.info. Thank you.
Ms. Cortez?
Next, we have Melanie Neff.
Well, good evening. For the record, my name is Melanie Knapp, and
Oh, sorry.
I point to the audio record. Sorry.
Sorry about that.
Anyway, good evening. And I sort of deviate a little bit too. I don't want to be repetitive on a couple points that have been made. First of all, I want to talk about what's good for kids. I think there's not anybody in here, if we had different opinions of each other or whatever that might be, I know we could all agree on that one fact. With that being said, I think we'd agree on this too. What's good for kids is to follow the rules. And I'm going to cut to the chase because I think in this limited time, I just want to cut to the chase. I think the reasons that are given they're very common. Look it up, I did a little research. Kind of a smoke screen to say we need to look deeper at this, we need a committee, we need more information. Or the other piece would be, what about the liability? There's also that of, is this fiscally responsible? I'm not saying these aren't good questions. And I think the other one is, can we be, as you all I think have said, and I believe was in the news last night on Channel 5, that you all want to be more responsible, more transparent. All of that is good for kids, all of those points, but I will say this. If you look at the recording, a video recording of a meeting, as a public record, not as much as a piece of entertainment, I'm sure we could crack jokes on that one, but really, it's not meant to be this high-def, awesome experience that our own very wonderful award-winning D20 has, and I'm serious when I say that. It's a record. What we have now is this audio recording, which, by the way, is very difficult for anyone. Well, it's not difficult to get if you know how, but most people don't know you can just get a FOIA request in and get it. Plus, it's hard to get through. So those reasons I gave, number one, first off, fiscal responsibility. This doesn't have to be expensive. It's just a record. It doesn't have to be up close up. It doesn't have to be, the audio has to be heard and we have to be able to identify who is speaking. But it does not need to be high quality. That would be expensive, and I don't think that would be very responsible. The second part is this video would be very easy for you to put on Board Docs. I did some research. We already have the package. It's just not being used. It is as simple as putting it up, and no new software is required. There's no additional charge for that. And you could even put it on app. It doesn't be live streamed. It's just a public record. And it gives you the chance to be more transparent, which is what you want to do. That's what D20 always wants to do, right? Is to be more transparent. I don't see that happening all the time. And I don't have time to make the list, and I'll bring it next week, or the next meeting. But I do believe that we have the means to do this. And lastly, liability. Yes, it does open you up to liability to have that memorialized, that meeting. And I've seen plenty that you would not want memorialized. And I've kept my own audios. But I will say that if you record this video, regularly, doesn't have to be live streamed, and you follow the rules, and you get the right legal advice, then I'm going to say, what you're getting, I assure you, is not true. And I don't have to be a lawyer to know that. Those are rules for the citizens. Just like I know the speed limit, I don't have to be a police officer to know it, follow it, and that's what I'm saying here. You have no liability if you just follow the rules. And with that, I'm going to conclude with that's good for kids. We need the best recording, the most comprehensive recording. The minutes they're okay, but I know I've been at meetings, and then I've heard the audio, and it's not the same always. That's all I'm asking you to. Please, please choose to be more transparent and do what's good for kids.
And finally, we have Lisa Hatfield.
Hi, this is the first time I've been to a District 20 meeting. I am not a District 20 parent, but I'm here because I'm a reporter for our community news, which covers the northern bit of the district from Baptist Road south to Southgate Road. Oh, actually. We don't normally cover District 20 meetings, but I've been having some questions from parents because we do have a whole bunch of parents in our coverage area asking me why we aren't. I wasn't planning to speak, but I wanted to let you know I'm hearing all this about the transparency, and for my first meeting, I went to your website to find out, and it would be, the button that says board meetings says this page does not exist. So then I clicked on the button that said board agendas, and I did find the agenda, and it said board dinner was at 5:15, but I still did not know when the meeting would start. So then when I finally pressed the button that said print agenda, then it did say the meeting starts at 6 o'clock. But you might want to know that since you probably don't have
also entering the building tonight. The door that finally worked was the one that says employees only, exit. That's the door that I was able to get in. And as far as this issue about the recordings, I don't know about videotaping, but a lot of the meetings I cover are documented, and their official record is the audio record like we have. But for example, the Board of County Commissioners, it's one click of a button to get to that. So I hope you guys will work through, I don't know all the details on that, but it sure would be great for parents who get here to have an easy way to find the recording, which I couldn't find past recordings on your website of the audio. And good luck with this video question. As far as what Ms. Bell said about the water, I think she meant swimming pools, right? Yeah. I'm from Monument. We have water issues. So luckily that's not your fault. So I'll just here to listen tonight, but I'm glad I'm down here.
Ms. Cortez?
That's it.
Great, thank you. Board comments, why don't we start with Colonel Hardy?
Nothing tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Borland?
Well, I enjoyed seeing all of you for the second day tours. Got to reconnect momentarily with my reading partner from last year, and even more briefly with a lot of our former colleagues. A lot of exciting stuff out there, and I just have to just call out one person, and that is Mr. Tom Andrew up at High Plains Elementary. All of our principals are top notch, but he is like evangelical about his school. He is on fire at that school, and he is doing such a great job. The school looks great, as do all of them. But I just had to mention Tom because I'm just so excited to be there. And with that, I'm going to pass it along to my colleagues.
Mrs. Johnson?
Well, good evening and welcome to all of you. I have been enjoying the start of school, as all of us have. Certainly enjoyed the second day tours. The diversity that exists throughout our district, the excellence, it's always a joy to see and support. I was especially pleased with the report in the paper that we'll receive more definition towards in our meeting tonight about the strong ACT scores and the CMAS scores for our students. That is our focus, not scores, but education. And in that regard, I'm very proud to be a small part of all the good that goes on here.
Ms. Van Manen?
Wow. It's been a really great couple of weeks, since our last board meeting. Many things have gone on, and I've seen most all of you most every day. So I just want to say, I never mind seeing your lovely faces, though. It's been really great. I also wanted to say thank you to our principals for hosting us on our second day of school tours. I wanted to especially thank George Stone and Aspen Valley for accommodating Mr. Gregory and I to actually come after lunch because we were so far behind in our schedule. We had 10 schools and we had a ring around the district. So poor Mr. Gregory drew the short straw, and as far as I'm concerned, I suspect he has a parking place in heaven for having spent the day with me. but we made it everywhere eventually, and it was really great. And I would say I think the tours were lengthier this year too. It wasn't just, although it's my fault because I like to talk to the principals, but it's completely my fault. But I think that we're a little lengthier this year because principals really had on their minds, because of the Growth and Capital Needs Committee visits to their schools and their school improvement committees and everything. They really had on their minds the things that they wanted to communicate to the board about what their facilities look like and what's going on there. So, and I admire them for having so much vision for their buildings. Buildings, we'll talk about this later, but buildings are so much more than brick and mortar. They're really about how we educate our kids, and they communicate our values to our kids. We communicate our values through how we maintain our buildings and how we keep our buildings up, as well as the caliber of the people that we put in them. So I really appreciated those school visits, and I look forward to more discussion about that tonight. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bullock.
Welcome back to school. It's been a long week. I was going to say we had our first day of school tours last week, but I realized that was 2 days ago. Our schools look great. They're clean. They're welcoming. They're in great shape. Also thoroughly enjoyed, there was a recent parent meeting at Discovery. The district brought in a couple of professionals. Pullen and Lieberman were their last names. I don't remember their first names. And one of the pieces of advice that they gave to parents was to put cell phones to bed at night. And in other words, take them away. So that was an interesting experience as a parent. And I had to keep telling myself, as they had said, you are the parent, you are the parent. And so, but I want to tell Mr. Peak, we were having this conversation about it, and it has gotten much better. So take heart. The week, in fact, my daughter even said last night, Mom, this is okay, and I have it back on the weekend, and so, but it's been good. Very good.
It's been quite a week. I will tell you, Mrs. Bullock, that our kids are 24 and 23, and we used to take their phones away once they had them. And when they were in high school, I was told in many times that Street Family Household was the only household in all of the world that took their kids' cell phones away from them at night. And we stood by our guns, and not too long ago we were having this conversation with a kid. They live in, they don't live here anymore. And we asked the question about taking away cell phones. And they said that was probably one of the best things that you ever did. Because otherwise we would have been on the entire night. But that was also the days before Unlimited. And some of us might have watched the number of text messages that they used. And if you go over, I'll take it out of your allowance. It's great to be back. Although we've seen a lot of each other this summer. It's great to be here. Dr. Hatchell, administration comments.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gregory.
No, thank you.
Dr. Smith.
No, thank you.
Dr. Field.
No, thank you.
Dr. Peak.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Hatchell. First, if I may, Ms. Bullock, thank you. I actually mustered up the courage, and my girls now check in their phones at night. They tuck them in for bed. So. But it is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you Julie Bain this evening. Julie, would you stand, please? Julie's being recommended as the interim assistant principal for Foothills Elementary School. She's joined this evening by family Joanne Casano and Connor Franz, and I see that she's got several of her learning services colleagues and some of the staff from Foothills Elementary School, including Ms. Burgles, here tonight to help support. Julie holds a Bachelor of Arts degree in Information Science and Technology and a Master of Science in Information Science with an emphasis on library and information services.